Hi Aries, welcome to your September 2020 love and relationship reading. Thank you so much for checking out the channel. It's brand fucking new, so it needs all the support it can get. Please remember to like, to comment, and subscribe, as well as check me out on Instagram at claire.voyant.queen and Twitter at _Claire_voyant. Please remember these messages are general, so they may or may not resonate. Please also remember that energy is vice versa, right? This could be about you, this could be about your partner. But thank you so much for watching. I cannot wait to get started. Hi Aries, welcome to your September 2020 love and relationship reading. Let's get started. Tell me about Aries. Tell me about Aries for September of 2020. Tell me about Aries. Tell me about Aries for September of 2020. Tell me about Aries. Aries for September of 2020. Okay, those feel nice and shuffled. Tell me about Aries for September of 2020. Ooh, this one wanted to fly out. Let's read it. No two flowers are the same, yet all are beautiful in their own way. Comparisons are odious because they presume all other things are equal, which is never the case between me and you. I'm definitely getting the impression that either you're comparing yourself to someone else or you're comparing two people. But let's kind of dive into some spirit animal cards and we'll kind of clarify that message. Tell me about Aries. Tell me about Aries for September of 2020. Tell me about Aries for September of 2020. Tell me about Aries. Tell me about Aries for September of 2020. Tell me about Aries. Okay. Tell me about Aries for September of 2020. Tell me about Aries. Okay, Aries, you are the bat. Ooh, we like this. Your partner is the crow. Okay, let's do this. Kind of scooch this over. In your emotional connection, we have the stingray, right? Interesting. And in your physical connection, we have the owl. Wow, okay. Lots of air energy, right? We have the bat, we have the owl, and we have the crow. All three cards of air. So there's a lot of thinking in this connection, a lot of cognition, a lot of mental processing, right? And there's something involving in our emotional connection, we have an emotional card, right? Which deals a lot with our backbone, our self-confidence, our self-esteem, our ego, right? So there's something about kind of almost beefing up an emotional connection with someone. I've decided to start reading everything from the guidebook. I feel like when we read from the guidebook, you're going to gain a little bit more clarity as to what these cards represent. And then I'm going to kind of help you connect the dots. So we're going to start off with the bat. Perfect. Look at that. Darkness, letting go, death leading to rebirth. Before emerging, the bat waits for the sun to set and the moon to rise. In the darkness, it can see all that was invisible in the daylight hours. The bat is a master of the subtle senses, of the underlying forces that cause some things to prosper and others to fade. The bat card shows up to signify the ending of a chapter, the closing of a door. The bat comes swiftly, encouraging us to move on. In just a few hours, a new day dawns, no more lingering in the past. I'm kind of getting the impression that you may have been comparing yourself to other people in the past and kind of a negative and having like a negative connotation of yourself. And I feel like you're almost kind of starting a new chapter where you're kind of leaving that perspective, leaving that attitude behind, and you're kind of going forward. In kind of just like this, in kind of a sense of a new self, right? There's like a sense of a new self with you. It feels like you're kind of, oh, that's interesting. Like you're kind of shedding your skin, and you're kind of moving forward with a really healthy, positive outlook on your life. Let's go and read the crow in your partner. Let's see, where are we at? Vulture, bee, firefly. Sometimes this is the only problem with reading from the book, is that sometimes trying to find all these cards is a nightmare. Here we go. Crow. The crow. Spiritually strong, creative, and watchful. The crow has long been a symbol of magic. A crow personality is drawn to the supernatural and has a gift for seeing the unseen, knowing the unknown. It is said that the crow holds within its mind's eye the three realities: past, present, and future. Crow energy is potent and should only be tapped into when the mind is clear. Those with crow tendencies must balance their lives with a healthy diet, joyful friends, and regular self-study. There's something really interesting going on here. There's a very, very, very powerful spiritual aspect. I'm almost getting the impression that this is not a partner. This is not an individual. This reading is more so about your self-transformation, right? I'm really getting the impression that you've kind of been comparing yourself to other people in the past, right? What do they have that I don't have? What do I have that they don't have? And kind of honestly looking at it from a very negative perspective. But something has occurred where you're kind of shedding that portrayal of yourself, shedding that identity of yourself, and you're kind of stepping into new shoes, right? And you're kind of traveling forward and going forward. And before I even like read these other cards, like the stingray, like one thing that we really notice about the stingray, right, is this huge rainbow spine going up and down the stingray's back. And that's in direct reference to chakras, right? We also have the crow here, which really talks about like psychic abilities, right? And the owl right here is a big spiritual advisor. There's something going on with spirituality here. It might be, and I think it's for you. It almost feels as if like maybe your spirituality has really triggered something in you to kind of start a new chapter in your life, to kind of almost look at yourself in a more positive light. There's something involving your direct relation to spirituality. It feels like this reading is not about you and a partner. It feels like this reading is strictly about you. And it feels like there's some sort of like self-transformation that you're undergoing that's really strong and really present, which I really like. It's really good. The only way you're going to be able to, experience happiness and experience joy and abundance in your life is if like you create it for yourself, right? As if you manifest it for yourself. And you need to be in that most high vibrational energy for that to happen. And so it kind of feels like you're almost taking a step in that direction, which is really beautiful to see. Let's keep going. Let's read the stingray. So this was the only card of water or of emotions that we had, right? Let's see here. Octopus. Oh, I just saw it. I saw a glimpse of it. Stingray. Okay. The stingray. Developing confidence, sense of self, or spine. The stingray card represents a pivotal moment in personal growth, right? Pivotal moment in your growth. The moment has come when the stingray must decide between the old, easy, comfortable, and familiar, and the new, challenging, uncomfortable, and unfamiliar. Pressure from family and friends makes the decision even more complicated. No matter what choice is made now, it's inevitable that this dilemma will surface again and again as the force of Dharma growing within the stingray is too strong to ignore. There's definitely some sort of transformation, right? We're talking about the bat, right? Watching the sun set and the moon rise and the bat kind of traveling into the night, right? The bat sees everything that was in the dark. We're talking about the stingray kind of going through this idea of self-transformation, right? Letting go of the old to embrace the new. We're talking about the crow, which sees past, present, and future, right? There's this aspect of like old and new, right? Of what's happened to what will happen. You're definitely going through some sort of massive transformation right now, massive shift, and it feels like it's a really positive shift. It might have come from, you also might be comparing yourself in the moment too, like comparing yourself to other people while undergoing this transformation, but I really get that this was largely in the past. Yeah, let's keep going with the owl. Okay. Also, the crow and the owl are essentially like, right, they're right next to each other. So for those to come out kind of, on the same spread, that is pretty important. And it probably talks to, let's see here. I like to think that these kind of sometimes represent traditional tarot as well, because essentially the eagle is the king of swords, right? Even though it's the final air card. So it kind of talks about us really just being kind of almost in the middle of the sword suit, right? Which kind of talks about conflict, which really talks about transformation. So when we pull tarot cards, we really might see like, maybe we might see like the number 6 appearing, or we might see a lot of cards with transformation, like death might come up, for instance. But let's talk about the owl. Abundance, clairvoyant, treasures. The owl is a mystery and otherworldly creature found in folklore from east to west. The white owl in this particular deck is the companion of the goddess Lakshmi and represents wealth, beauty, and good fortune. When the owl card appears, it's an omen that a bon or a treasure is on the way, either in spiritual or material form. With owl wisdom on your side, you'll see and know exactly what to do with this bon, how it can further serve your dharma and bring abundance to the world. Trust that the wellspring of treasures is infinite. Yeah, it feels like you're almost going through this massive, massive self-transformation, right? And it feels like by going through this massive self-transformation, a lot of really exciting things are kind of on their way for you, right? A lot is happening for you. It feels like there's something coming in. Usually when this card comes in for me, it's usually not a material gift. It's more so a spiritual gift, but it's kind of more so a spiritual leveling up, you could say, right? We're raising our vibrational energy. We have a different perspective on our own life, which is really cool to see. Let's pull some cards and we'll clarify what's already on the board. Tell me about Aries. Tell me about Aries for September of 2020. 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 Okay. Tell me about Aries for September of 2020. Aries. One more shuffle. Okay, I feel confident. Aries, in your current situation, we have the Knight of Swords. Interesting. Notice how both of these cards, right? The bat is air energy. The sword is air energy. You could have air in your chart. So you could have a Libra, a Gemini, or an Aquarius placement. In your partner's current situation, we have the 5 of Rods. Remember how I said earlier that we had the crow and the owl, and they seem to be about halfway through the air suit, so we could experiencing 5s or 6s. So it feels like there was some sort of conflict, and it feels like, I almost feel like you've kind of ended that conflict. It feels like you're coming out of that conflict, and it feels like you're kind of experiencing a lot of change because of what you've been through. In your past connection, we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse. In your current connection, we have the Six of Rods in reverse. Again, another six, right? We're seeing fives and we're seeing sixes. And then in your future outcome, we have the Eight of Rods in reverse. So we have a couple of reversals here, which we might want to clarify. But in the meantime, let's kind of explore these, right? We have the Knight of Swords here, which really talks about someone who's kind of, right, we go from pages to knights to queens to kings. So they're not yet a queen or a king, but they've also kind of graduated from becoming a page, right? So they're not completely mature here. They're still kind of immature. They have a lot more maturing to do. And it kind of talks about essentially us being a little bit non-committal, a little bit wishy-washy, right? This person craves like intellect. This person craves honesty. This person craves direct communication, right? That's what this person wants, right? And they're willing to do anything they can to get it. But sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not there. I really have a feeling this is almost you going through this kind of mental state with your mind, right? It feels like there's kind of this comparison between myself and other people, comparing myself to other people. And it feels like you're kind of almost, it's like you're kind of stuck right now. You're almost stuck between two worlds, right? You're almost undergoing this transformation, kind of really engaging with your self-confidence and your self-esteem and your ego and kind of building all that up. But you're still a little bit stuck in the past where you keep comparing yourself and comparing yourself and comparing yourself and saying, why am I not ABC, is how it feels like. And it feels like there's kind of this wishy-washy going back and forth here in order to really fully mature to a full king, right? Like, it feels like it's not, it might be mood swings. I don't know why I just thought of mood swings, but it might be mood swings. Yeah, it feels like, you know where you're going, but you're kind of looking backward at the same time, is what it feels like. And in your partner's current situation, we have this Five of Rods, right? Which really talks about conflict. This can be a conflict between another person. So if this is resonating with you and it is about a partner, this could be that either your partner is going through some sort of conflict right now, whether it be with, pardon me, I'm gonna take a drink of water. It could be that your partner is going through some sort of conflict right now, whether it be like internally or externally with another person. But I'm more so getting that this is conflict between yourself, right? This is conflict kind of about going forward and progressing. Remember, the stingray really talks about things that are, it talks about new being uncomfortable, right? I really want to reread this for you because I just feel like it's important. The stingray card represents a pivotal point in personal growth, right? The moment has come when the stingray must decide between the old, easy, comfortable, and familiar, and the new, challenging, uncomfortable, and unfamiliar. This kind of new is supposed to be challenging, uncomfortable, and unfamiliar, right? Which is really kind of what's going on in the Five of Rods, right? There's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of tension, whether that tension be more internal or whether that tension be more external. For me, whoever I'm reading for, it feels more internal. It feels more so like it's going on in your head, especially with this Knight of Swords here, right? Talking about the air energy, we're thinking very logistically, right? We're thinking very mentally. It feels like this conflict is kind of going mentally. In your past connection, we have the Page of Pentacles, right? In reverse, right? We had 3 reversals appear, which was really interesting. The Page of Pentacles really kind of talks about, it's not a knight yet, right? It's a page. So it talks about a very young, a very immature energy. It talks about it wants to go somewhere, right? This is someone who really seeks security, really seeks stability, really seeks like material gains, like money and physical and tangible possessions, right? But unfortunately, it's also like, because it's in reverse, it's kind of a message of instability. This could be you coming from some sort of place, right? It feels like you might be coming from a place or a situation involving a lot of like uneasy ground, kind of shaky, rocky ground, right? It feels like there was a message that came in that made you a little bit uncomfortable in terms of where you were at, right? And it kind of feels like you're almost being forced to change based on this message that was coming in. It feels like you are not in a good space mentally, and it feels like you are not in a good space like financially, and not in a good space involving like your security and stability. Something was very, very rocky, very uneasy, right? And I feel like that thing is kind of encouraging you to change and transform. Everything kind of comes back to the stingray card, I'm kind of noticing, right? Really interesting. Then in your current situation, right, we have the Six of Rods. Six of Rods comes directly from the Five of Rods, right? We go 5 to 6. The Six of Rods really talks about victory, right? It really talks about success. They just had this brutal, brutal conflict, and now he's kind of walking away. He has a lot of pride, right? It's a card of like joyous momentum, joyous movement, progression, victory, success, right? But because it's in reverse, it's kind of this concept that we aren't feeling that success. We aren't feeling that pride. We're kind of feeling a little bit defeated. I feel like this is kind of almost like a temporary passing energy, right? It kind of feels like I feel like you're stuck. I feel like you're stuck. I feel like you can't move forward is what it feels like. But I feel like this is temporary. I feel like you're having a lot of conflict going on in your mind, and it's because you haven't won something. It's probably because you're not where you actually want to be, or you're not where you see yourself being, right? And it feels like you're kind of feeling defeated. And I don't think you should view it that way. I think you should view it as if you're kind of undergoing this massive transformation, this very powerful transformation, right? And you're kind of actually raising your vibrational energy without even realizing it, is my guess. Remember, the owl came up, right? In our physical interaction and our physical connection. It deals a lot with a spiritual treasure or like a physical bond, right? Boon, whatever the hell it is. And then in your future outcome here, we have the Eight of Rods in reverse, right? This kind of talks about, essentially it's these rods kind of flying through the air. And when we think of anything flying through the air, it moves fast, right? It's not slow, it moves fast. It has a lot to do with communication. It has a lot to do with forward progression and movement, right? And accomplishing things and getting things done. It's the energy we need to work, right? To produce, right? To create, right? It feels like something is stuck. It feels like gravity is going to allow these rods to fall and they're not going to move. It's an energy of being stuck, of no communication, right? Of no energy to actually go forward and continue. I feel like this is currently how you're feeling. I feel like you're kind of feeling like you're lacking energy, you're lacking success, right? And it has something to do with some sort of inner conflict or a conflict with another person. But I feel like at the same time you're undergoing through such a massive, massive spiritual, it could be even a physical transformation here. Look at all the cards of rods on the board, right? We have 1, 2, 3. I drew 5 cards and we have 3 rod cards on the board. That's a lot. That's a lot of energy, right? And essentially, what's also interesting is that we drew a 5, we drew a 6, and we drew an 8. What's missing? The 7. The 7's missing. So the 7 really talks about defensiveness, right? You could be experiencing a lot of defensiveness in your life, or you could be experiencing actually the exact opposite, kind of lowering your defenses or something of that nature. It feels like there was a lot of conflict and a lot of transformation, and I feel like we're just kind of coming out of that energy, but what's coming out of that energy is something incredibly beautiful. Incredibly beautiful. I really wish we could like clarify more. See, we have another 8 too, another 8 in reverse, right? So something to do with 8s as well. So this has a lot to do, the 8 of Cups has a lot to do with kind of organizing our emotions, right? He's kind of neatly stacked all these cups. He's not tossed them aside. He's neatly stacked them. He's contemplated and thought about what he wants to do and what he wants to say. And he's making the decision to walk away from an emotional situation, right? He's turned his back to it. He's walking away from an emotional situation. He's going more internally and listening to his intuition. But because it's in reverse, we're kind of coming out of this solo energy and returning back to our emotions. I don't know why I feel this, but it feels like, again, this is kind of that wishy-washy energy with you. It feels like one moment you're there, the next moment you're not there. One moment you're there, the next moment you're not there. I don't know why you want to return to your emotions. It feels honestly like almost like what's comfortable for you is comparing yourself to other people, right? What's comfortable for you might be putting yourself down, right? Which shouldn't be the case. It should be uplifting yourself. It should be making yourself feel better, making yourself feel brighter, right? And I feel like it's this kind of energy of you going back and forth and back and forth. But all while that's going on, this massive transformation is taking place, which is really cool. And I feel like there's going to be a lot that comes out of it. I really do feel like I keep picking up this card. I keep picking up this card. There's going to be a lot coming in for you, Aries. But Aries, thank you so much for checking out your September 2020 love and relationship reading. And I will see you next month. Thanks, guys.